I'm going to hand it over to Kaia, who seems really excited. And she's going to do a live performance later, but yeah, we'll go on.
Hello, I'm Kaia or Chaia, either works. And I was just in Berlin in December as part of this amazing residency or studio award, which was wonderful. I mostly make techno music. My thing is that I use samples from Yiddish and klezmer music, and I put them against techno grooves, rave grooves, and make these Ashkenazi Jewish rave spaces in different cities. So when I went to Berlin, I was there to present at this festival called the Shtetl Berlin Festival. And this festival is part of a lineage of Jewish music artists, klezmer musicians, who have been sort of steadily moving to Berlin since the 80s to reclaim and reoccupy Jewish institutions there. And this festival is one of the things that's come out of that. And it's really amazing, I think, for me as someone who's made Jewish music in America my whole life, it was really amazing to see how in Berlin, because you're so centrally located in the world, there were Jewish musicians from all over the world who were there. So from Ukraine and from China and from, Poland and Spain and the US and Canada, and that was amazing. And they were all there for this festival, which was really wonderful. The project that I was presenting specifically at this festival was an immersive video installation that basically there's techno grooves and then there's video of these different archival footage that's sort of ravified by different video programming. And so I was working mostly with this artist named Dan Tomes, who does a lot of visuals for techno artists. He does visuals for a couple artists I really love and take after, like Fred Again and John Hopkins, and I don't know if there's any techno heads in the audience, but it was really amazing to bring him this Yiddish archival footage and to say, okay, what if we made these kinds of traditional techno videos, but they're grounded in history and in this kind of Jewish lineage and tradition. So while I was in Berlin, he lives there, and the two of us worked really intensively on making this video for the second part of this installation, which is all about, actually a little bit about, connects to your work. It's all about rest through movement and rest through diaspora and different passageways of Jewish migration, particularly out of Europe in the late 1800s, which is when my family came here, and how different means of traveling can be places of radical rest. So what happened in the boat rides over? What happened in walking to the train station? What happened in these passages, and how do they inform the diasporic communities that come out of them? And so basically we compiled a bunch of this archival footage from different Yiddish archives around the world, and we made it into an ahistorical order. So starting with passageways and going towards rest, even if those are different time periods sort of stitched together. We took some footage of these boats and these canals in modern day Belarus and said, okay, what if we juxtapose them with the boats that carried a lot of Belarusian Jews to New York? And how would that look? So the idea was to have a history of a journey, even if it's not directly historical. So I was in Berlin, I worked with Dan, and then in my the end of my time there, it was the Shtetl Berlin Festival. And I also had this weird sort of like last minute, maybe in Germany things are just like that, I don't know. But it was in this weird sort of last minute change, they were like, actually, we want you to do the entire Yiddish song repertoire of this other artist instead of what you were going to do before. So I was like, okay, that sounds great. Adrienne Cooper, she's an amazing Yiddish artist. And so yeah, I performed that repertoire in different places in the festival. The festival is really cool because it happens at all these different institutions. So we did a show at the Pierre Boulez Salle, which is like a classical auditorium. And then we did, the really big show we did was at the Jewish Museum of Berlin, which was amazing. And for some reason we were doing just Yiddish song, but it was marketed as a children's show. So there were 500 children there. And it was amazing. And so I was doing techno and this Yiddish song, and all the children were sort of up on shoulders. And it was amazing. As someone who only basically I only play in 21 plus nightclubs, it was so cool to see children dance to this music, especially because it's all about lineage and passing on tradition. And that was just amazing to see. And then we did other smaller things at smaller venues around Berlin. And yeah, I think that something else that was really special about the festival is that in addition to having audience from all around the world, they also brought musicians in from all over, from the Netherlands and from the US and from South America. And so it was really amazing to be able to be on stage singing these Yiddish songs with basically like one musician per country. And that was awesome. And also this techno Yiddish stuff that I've been doing I've only been doing it for the last couple years, so getting to introduce musicians that I really love and have idolized for years to this music was just really, really meaningful to me. And just having that kind of relationship, just bringing all these people together, bringing Dan in, bringing these people from all around the world. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say. I'm going to do a little presentation of this project. Since I went to Berlin, we've been revising and updating the footage, and it's gotten to be this really cool, abstract, expressionist type of piece of this archival footage, which is amazing and really in line with Dan's other work. So I'm going to present that, and usually in this installation, people are invited to lie down and the footage is projected on the ceiling. But just like imagine that you're lying down, and it's all about radical rest and radical being. And yeah, you were talking a lot, Heather, about the non-verbal eulogy. So this is my non-verbal eulogy for my ancestors, but also for all other diasporic communities. Yeah, especially now. Cool. But first, do people have questions? Is that what I'm supposed to say? Should I say something else? Great. Do people have questions? Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's where my family is from. My family's from, hello. My family is from a tiny town outside of Minsk. And they came here in the 1880s, so a really long time ago. But Belarusian Jewish music, it's sort of like its own lineage. It's a little bit different from most klezmer music. It has a little bit different themes and harmonies, and there's been just great archival work with Belarusian repertoire specifically. So I try to draw on that as much as I can in both my music and in this archival footage. Well, part of the reason I love the klezmer scene and the Jewish and Ashkenazi Jewish music scene in general is that it's just so nerdy. Everyone in it knows so much about it, and it's like are always mentioning new people, and there's a million archives, and they're all accessible, and we're all on them all the time, and we have sleepovers where we just look at all the archives, and it's so fun. But I started studying. My dad's a Jewish studies teacher, so I started studying Jewish studies and meeting these different rabbis and cantors and Jewish musicians as I was growing up. And then when I turned 13, I joined a klezmer band and started studying klezmer by going to these different festivals and learning with a couple different teachers in New York where I was growing up. And then I decided to go to school for klezmer at NEC, which is like, the nickname is the Klezmer Conservatory because they have an entire department where all the professors are just klezmer musicians, which is crazy and totally unheard of. But it's great, and it's existed since the 70s, and it's just amazing. So I studied klezmer there, and while I was there, one of the teachers I was studying klezmer with had given up klezmer to become a techno musician. And he had left all his klezmer behind, and it was like a big thing for him. And I thought it would be really fun to just force him to make klezmer techno all day. So I did that for 4 years at school. And that was really fun and great. And now that I'm basically on leave in the middle of my master's, and I'm just keeping on studying. I study with an amazing Yiddish song master who's about to turn 90 years old, but she's currently on vacation with her wife in Mexico. Like, she does everything. Her name is Ethel Rame, and she teaches me Yiddish songs, but also gives me feedback on how I'm integrating the Yiddish songs in the techno. And she also does great impressions of all the like old Yiddish song lineage people who have since passed, but who she grew up with, hearing the techno for the first time, and she'll be like, oh, this is so good. Like, she does all these Yiddish accent. It's great. So yeah, it's in a beautiful community, very, very tight-knit, and I'm so lucky that I can continue to learn from all these people and play. These festivals themselves are such amazing learning experiences where I'm maybe performing in the evening, but during the day there's all these workshops about it and classes, and it's really wonderful.